Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for continuing to join us for the 4 o'clock News and Politics Hour. We're going to welcome our next guest here around the studio, so don't go anywhere. Henry Kinch, former Pawtucket City Councilman, is coming around the corner. Thanks for joining us
Hi,
today.
Kate.
You're going to step a little bit closer here,
Okay.
and we're going to look right at the camera.
Yeah, hi everybody.
You've been in here before to talk about the Pawtuckets, but a lot has happened since the last time that you talked with our viewers here on the camera. We saw the price tag inch up from 73 million to 85 to now they're saying 97. Let's start there.
Well, the 97, you got to be careful because the 97 doesn't include debt. So this is really going somewhere between up from 158 million to about 192. This is about a 22% increase in the cost of this bill if the bonding that is allowed in the bill comes to fruition. So the 97 million is just the bonding.
Just the bonding
If
itself.
you put the debt service into it, this goes from about a 158 to about 192, about a $34-35 million increase.
So, what do you think the reaction's been? We've been hearing these numbers all along, and then kind of at this 11th hour, we're heading into the next session, the Senate decides to come out with some revised legislation. But to hear these numbers, we've thought all along it was in the 70 million range, and then to hear again at the 1 yard line, that not even close.
Well, I will tell you that I was part of a group of people who never thought that there was enough money in this bill to get done what needed to get done. Unfortunately, the revision doesn't have the Red Sox put any more cash up, which is what those of us who had been opposed to this deal right from the start actually wanted to do. It's more bonding, it's more debt. There are some tweaks to the bill that aren't necessarily favorable to the Red Sox. It's complicated. It's more complicated now with this new bill, but the bottom line is it's more debt. It is not more cash from the team. So I'm not sure where we go now because it looks like, according to yesterday that I read, that the Red Sox, which I'm not surprised about, are not in love with this new bill because there's a lot in there that is costing them.
Well, we saw, and we put on GoLocal today, that their reaction was, well, we're going to have to push it back to 2021 now. So they it was a punch and a counterpunch. Do you think relations are strained between the Pawtuckets and the state?
I do, and I don't think anybody should be surprised that the stadium is going to be pushed back. In fact, I advocated about a year ago to begin negotiations for a year-to-year extension on the lease at McCoy because I didn't think it was going to happen at this particular timeline that they were putting forth. Plus, I want people should remember, they're chalking up 2017 to a lost year, but they also have to take some responsibility for 2016 being a lost year because they really didn't do anything to advance the project of a new stadium. It was, okay, we messed up by trying to move to Providence, now we're going to come back to Pawtucket, now you're our home, so we're going to spend a year trying to make friends with everybody again. So now January 2017 comes and they start working on a bill. Well, 2016 was a waste because they didn't do anything. So now you come in, you get a bill ready. The idea that the bill was put forth in May of this year, just before the assembly is going to get out, is laughable. And more laughable still is the mayor of my city saying, we'll stay a week and we'll pass it. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's been 6 months and it's not even close. So, I wasn't on the inside, so I don't tend to know everything, but if you look at it from the outside, it actually looks like kind of a Keystone Cop operation from at least 2016 on.
One of the things that had held up at the General Assembly from the hearing perspective on the Senate side was Finance Chair Conley said, we want to see the financials. Now, I think it was twofold. It was the Senate for the review process, but I think from a public's perspective as well. Now, what we saw happen was Auditor General Hoyle go in and say, okay, we took a look at them and this is what we think. Does that pass muster to the public that said, we thought we were going to get them? Is there anything illegal about trying to have full disclosure about an entity
Well-
that's seeking state assistance as full
No.
but for them to say, we gave it to you and Dennis Hoyle said, A-okay, I mean, it seemed to jump the shark.
Well, here's the most peculiar thing about it, in my opinion, Kate, is that the report from the Auditor General said quite clearly that the Red Sox, not the owners themselves, but the team, the entity, if you will, needs the $500,000 naming rights badly in order to make their bond payments. But the legislation takes half of it away. So that's one of the things I would suspect the Red Sox are not too happy about. And, you know, I don't understand, okay, you ask for the report, you get the report, and then you do it opposite of what the report says. So I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know what it is, but the auditor was quite clear, General was quite clear, they need the $500,000 and the bill takes half of it away. So I would suspect they're not happy about that.
So, you know, here we are, it's December 12th. We are rapidly approaching the holidays and rapidly approaching the next General Assembly session. Now, they said that their plan is to take it up. It's interesting because we've seen on the House side, Speaker Mattiello say, I'm letting the Senate take the lead, I'm letting the Senate take the lead. What do we expect? The first week they're back in to see this sort of muscle through on the Senate side and see if anything ends up with the House? I mean, what do you project for 2018?
My projection is that someone, I don't know who, someone is going to say officially, whether it's a resolution or a statement, that I want this on the ballot, and there will be a snowstorm, a rock slide that the Assembly will have to deal with, and probably it will either go on the ballot or the Red Sox will pull out of it, because they don't want to go on the ballot because it's an election they can't win.
You know, we've heard this all along throughout the year, you know, especially leading into the fall, first from the Speaker and the Governor, well, maybe it should go on the ballot. So if you're a betting man, you think that that's the approach. We're not going to see any up or down vote on the legislation of this iteration.
You may on the Senate side, because they're just so, you know, they have been the lead, and you may. It'll be interesting to see what the atmosphere is once all the members come back in. Because, as you know, through the summer and fall, it has only been the committee members. You know, a stray comment from a Senate member here or there. But once you get all of the members back into the State House in an election year, if you will.
Oh, it's an election year.
You know, you don't know what's going to happen in either chamber. But clearly the Speaker is letting the Senate take the lead. I think there'll be a vote there, so I suspect that if there's a call to put it on the ballot, it may come from the other side. But again, you know, I haven't talked to the Red Sox, they're kind of mad at me, but, I would be shocked if the Red Sox said, okay, we're all set, put it on the ballot, we're gonna spend $2 million in a campaign that they cannot win.
So, while I have you here in studio, you've been in here to talk about the Paw Sox before, but there's a lot going on in Pawtucket right now. Just for having conversations, you saw the renderings of the potential for Hasbro to consolidate all of its operations here, kind of exit Pawtucket. We know with Memorial, we've talked about that, but how devastating would it be for Hasbro to come to Providence for Pawtucket?
Well, I mean, it's a black eye, for sure. The Hasbro properties in Pawtucket are nice, well-kept properties. So basically, it's a black eye as a reputation. However, I have no doubt that if they left, someone would buy the property and the city would continue to get its taxes. And I'm a little nervous about the Narragansett Park property because it doesn't have the same kind of access that Newport Avenue has, and you need to be a giant type of company in order to fill both facilities, and actually there's another one as well. So, it's a black eye image-wise more than anything else. I think the same thing with the GAM Theater leaving. We know not a tremendous job producer, but it is the center of the arts district, and now that is gone. So again, another black eye. Not a huge job producer, as I pointed out, but symbolic. It hurts.
Yep, symbolic.
It hurts.
But let's look here to Providence. I mean, you saw that rendering, and you saw them say, let's tear down Superman and build this gleaming skyscraper. You know, take off your Pawtucket hat for a second.
Very hard to do.
He sleeps in.
I will do it. For you, I will do it.
Sleeps in the Pawtucket hat. What was your reaction when you saw
Well, it
that?
looks great, you know. It looks great, and I can go by my relationship and knowledge of Ambassador Palino, and he knows what he's doing. So I'm not shocked that any project that he would put in front of people is going to be, you know, top notch and first class.
The reaction of people, oh, don't tear down Superman.
Yeah, it's tough to let go. I understand that, but I mean, it's been a number of years. They can't get it filled. They can't get it sold. They can't get it leased. They can't get anybody to refurbish it. So, you know, there comes a time. I mean,
what are the other options that are on the table?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, and I'll put my hat on again in Pawtucket for a second. You know, they're saying the same thing about McCoy Stadium. You know, the time has come. The time has come, and you know, Pawtucket's having a hard time of letting that go. So, you know, there comes a time, like with McCoy, although I was in favor of, look, fix it up, and I've never believed for a second that this was about baseball. This has all been about redevelopment around the team, around the stadium. And I actually had I was actually stunned at one point. I'll just get back to the Red Sox for a second. At one of the hearings I testified at, one of the gentlemen came on and he said, well, we really believe that the decline in the attendance is due to the fact that the stadium is run down. And I actually said I said during my testimony, I've been there my whole life. You know, I'm having coffee or dinner in my city every day. And no one has ever said to me, we're not going to the Paw Sox because of the condition of McCoy Stadium. In fact, to the contrary. The character of the stadium is what brings people to that facility. If you put something in front of them today that said, you know what, leave it where it is and we'll put it on the ballot and we'll half finance the $60 million, whatever, I think the voters would approve it. You know, so it's hard to let go, but you know, it happens. And clearly the Red Sox ownership is not interested in leaving it at McCoy because it's not about baseball, it's about the development around it.
And finally, as you mentioned, your thoughts are come January, the potential's there for it to say either put it on the ballot or the Paw Sox ownership just walks away. And we've seen so much from the folks who are proponents of the ballpark saying, you know, are you ready to cut off your nose to spite your face, to say goodbye? What's your thought on that, if the Paw Sox were to leave?
I don't even understand that kind of thinking. I mean, I really don't. It's our money, particularly for the first 10 years of this deal, when there will be no development. I mean, there was testimony to that fact at the hearings. This development around the stadium will not be giving any money for 10 years to pay these bonds off. In fact, Pawtucket, as I read the bill, and there are some sweeteners in here, in the new bill, but the fact is, if you put the sweeteners in, but you take that off of the higher payment because of the new bonding capability or bonding capacity, Pawtucket's in the same boat. They're going to need to come up with $1 million a year for 30 years, and 10 of those years, they won't be getting any development from around the stadium. So my city, in my opinion, is in the same boat that it was before this bill came out, the new bill came out.
Well, all eyes are what's going to happen now at the Assembly after having heard the new proposal from the Senate. The indication that we're going to see something when the Assembly goes back in January. Anything else you want to share while you're here in studio?
No, I said it before, and I will say it again. You know, there are a lot of people. We'll say one more thing. There are a lot of people who talk about transparency, then don't do it. And I think that the Senate gets credit for doing what they said they would do, which is to have these hearings and you know, whether the bill passes, whether the Red Sox are interested in staying in Rhode Island with this bill, who knows? But I think overall it's been a pretty transparent process, and I think they should be congratulated for that.
We'll continue to follow it. I'm sure we'll continue to talk with you. I appreciate your taking the time to come in.
Always great to be with you, Kate.
Henry Kinch.
Thanks,
I'll
everybody.
let you go around the corner and I'll wrap up here, okay?
Thank you.
Former Pawtucket City Councilman Henry Kinch has been in before to talk about the Paw Sox. He was in last on Business Monday with CEO Josh Fenton, but there have been developments since then. The revised legislation out of the Senate, the projected costs increase, and now what we hear from the Paw Sox, just today, you can read it on GoLocal. The time frame has been protracted. They said the earliest a new stadium could happen would be 2021. So we appreciate your taking the time to tune in today to GoLocal Live. It was a little rainy earlier. Looks like it's letting up here downtown with our eye on the street here on Waybosset. 3 o'clock was Ava Gaudette. Billy Gilman was here in studio again. It was great to have him back. He's going to be at the Dunkin' Donut Center on Thursday night, giving us an update with where he is at with his career. One of our favorites, Jim Fortier with Blueprint 5, was in to talk about men's blazers. 'Tis the season to have a jacket. And 4 o'clock, news and politics. Brad Patassi, former Providence resident, now involved with incident management, fighting wildfires out in Arizona, giving us a little bit of his perspective as to what it takes, especially with an eye to California. Bob Burke here downtown. The big news this week, of course, the potential that Palino Properties in Gilbane put forth a proposal for Hasbro for a new headquarters in the location of the existing Superman building that would need to be demolished. We've been asking folks for their perspectives and reaction on that. Bob came in and gave his. And then finally, Henry Kinch here to talk about the Paw Sox and the latest with that. So we'll see you back here tomorrow at the 3 o'clock hour. It is The Taste with Rick Simone, the best of food and drink here in Rhode Island, always a popular show. I'll be back at 4, news and politics. Look forward to seeing everyone. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate your feedback. We'll see you back in studio, but in the meantime, tune in to GoLocal Prov online. But we'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Wish everyone a great Tuesday evening. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel.